Okay, let's take a look at project 4. I'm going to explain how it's going to go before I get into a lot of the instructional videos. So you'll have project 4 in here because you will have brought it down from the OneDrive folder and you would have been able to restore it, and then you'll see it in here. So when you double click on it and go to the, oh, by the way, in the edit page, let me see if I can pull up that labels there. Yeah, okay. So the edit page here, go to this page first and then go up to the media pool. And what you're going to see are 12 bins here, 12 bins, and each one is going to have all the elements to create one timeline. And so there's this one astronaut, then there's one that's about basketball, and then there's a cartoon horse. So I'm going to have you pick whatever 6 you want. You don't have to do all 12 of these. I want you to create a timeline, individual timeline for at least 6 of these projects in here. Bins, I'll call them bins. So the way you would do that, say you choose astronaut, you want to do astronaut. What you're going to do is right click in this area with astronaut bin selected. Let me move this out a little bit. And of course, I am in the thumbnail view. If you see it like this, that means you're in the list view. That's okay. You can do that here too, but I like being in the thumbnail view. So I'm going to right click here and I'm going to create a new timeline using the selected bin astronaut. So I'm just going to click on that. And now it's going to ask me how many video tracks do you want? How many audio tracks do you want? And what do you want to call it? I would stop, take your time, and name this astronaut or whatever so that you know that this timeline is associated with this here. It is going to end up in this area, but it's just helpful to name things. So this only has one video track. And let's just say we want, I don't know, just to play it safe, we want 4. We can always create more later, but we want 4 audio tracks. And this is all fine to keep these default the way they are. So I've got 1 video track. I named it Astro. I've got 4 audio tracks I create. And it pulls everything right down in there. So it's pulled in the audio. It's pulled in the video. And it's strung out all these sound effects already down in the timeline. So now we can move them around, we can place them on other, I'll just do an example here. We could just pull this down and put that on audio track 2, and then there's this little sound effect, and we could pull that down here. You get the idea. So now we have 1 video, and I'm going to zoom in on that. And then we have all these other sound effects. Like this one, I think I'm going to pull down on here. This is a punch. This is kind of like an action, funny action sequence. I'm going to pull this volume down right now just so I can play a little bit of it. As an astronaut in a parking garage, and he punches a guy and then steals his briefcase. So pretty funny. And I think it's going to, be a little bit more interesting than some of the other stuff we've been doing. I hope this is interesting anyway. I'm having fun making these, but basically that's what I'm going to have you do. So if you choose basketball, in other words, you're just going to right click in here, create a new timeline, select it, watch what happens. And we're going to call this one B-ball. And we're going to do the same thing. We'll say 4, and we're going to create that. And now I'm in that timeline right now. So there we go. There's the video ended up at the very end. That's okay. We're gonna rearrange all this stuff, and this is a good thing to know how to do, so that you can place these clips where you want them on separate audio tracks. In every single one of these, there's only 1 video file, and you will notice that there is one music bed in there. And what I did was I would put the word bed at the end so that you know that this is music, not necessarily a sound effects SFX file. So in there you'll see one, and there's one that doesn't have a music bed. It just has some ambient noise. And I've done something else in all of these videos. I've, of course, have made a video for each one that you can watch because you want to choose 6 that you think you're going to like. So, but I have one for every single video. But what I did not do is really level out the audio. And I did that on purpose because in DaVinci Resolve and in the filmmaking industry, in the audio industry as well, people work all over the planet. They work in different countries on the same project. Some editors are responsible for rough cutting and putting stuff into a framework, putting assets into a framework. Others are given the task of color grading the video, which we did not do here. And of course, this is Intro to Audio. And also, there'll be times where dialogue is added in afterwards, and we have voice actors actually speaking the words of lines that were forgotten. Anyway, there's just a ton of handoffs. So this is kind of like a handoff. And what I'd like you to do is very, very simply level out the volume of many of the tracks. So let's do this by going into, and it doesn't matter which project you have, as long as you go into Fairlight. It's probably the best place to do this, not the only place to do this, but I have the mixer open and I just happen to be on the Astronaut track, and watch what happens when I play back. You can see these meters jumping into the red, and I just pulled that out to see all of the tracks here. You may have to do that if you don't see them. And I'm going to just grab my range mode tool and select all of this here and let it loop by putting on the loop button. And now I'm going to go in here and just make some minor adjustments right here on the fader level. Now note, this is audio 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If you've labeled them, the labels will show up here. And this is the bus. This is the main output. So a really quick way to do it is you can see, even though this track is still hitting the red during the punch, where's the punch? Here it is. It's not hitting the red here because this is the main volume output. That's what the bus is for. So, but I also can go in here and go after the punch by dragging this down. So let's zoom in there a little bit and just highlight the punch and let that loop. And then we've got this garage ambient noise is a little too loud. Okay, so something like that. That's what I'm looking for. And this is what would happen in the real world. So I'm only going to show this technique on this particular bin, which is Astronaut. But I'm going to leave it up to you to do this in all of the other timelines that you choose.